We got a six-pack of picks for our Christmas weekend slate of games. Christmas Day gave us 3, and the Lions eliminated. All that and more. Lamar, Jordan Love, who's even going to play on today's NFL six-pack?
This is Locked On's NFL six-pack. 6 bold takes from 2 guys who just flat out know football. NFL experts Matt Williamson and Brian Peacock bring pure NFL talk. Great takes, no fluff. Just honest football talk. Crack one open. It's NFL Six-Pack on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the NFL Six-Pack. Brian Peacock and Matt Williamson. A little away game for me, hanging out at the in-laws' house. Had a really great Christmas. Hope everyone else did too. Matt, hope you had a nice holiday. I know you stayed home for that one, and I know you had some kids back, and you had your son back from college, which I'm sure was a lot of fun because I remember what it was like my freshman year being in college and being away for the first time and then coming back home for the winter break. It was always a lot of fun, so I imagine it was madness at your house.
Yeah, and he's enjoying himself, to say the least. I hope your young son that's more what Christmas is all about. I mean,
yes,
the debauchery that my son gets into is much different, I have a feeling.
Yeah, questioning Santa a little bit, but still happy that he's getting the Santa gifts because he's been a good boy all year long. So that was a lot of fun. He got himself a brand new bike as well. So fun Christmas at the Peacock household for sure, and still hanging out with the in-laws and having a lot of fun there. By the way, today's episode of NFL Six-Pack is brought to you by FanDuel, and all you got to do is go to FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long if you want to stay right in the middle of the action. Okay, so we got to look at some of these Christmas games here before we go to our official six-pack this weekend. We got Saturday, we got Sunday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got an official toilet bowl. The number 1 pick is going to be sewn up, I believe, this weekend as well on Sunday. So we've got to talk about that one, but we got to go to the middle game, which was the Detroit Lions eliminated by the rival Minnesota Vikings on Christmas Day. It wasn't close. It was
no,
and this was not. This is fascinating for both the Vikings and the Chiefs, how competitive they were, basically having a quarterback that you're trying to hide.
Big time.
If you're the Lions and you lose 23-10, and the third string quarterback that's a rookie came in and completed 9 passes for 51 yards against you and beat you by a lot, that's not good. That is not a good look on your resume for the 2025 Detroit Lions. Fall to 8-8, officially eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah, and I wonder, Flores' defense has played so well and we're causing such problems for the Lions. Does Flores get his hat back in the ring in the head coaching world? I mean, you can say whatever you want. Like I just did Locked On NFL with Wig, and we were talking about how, losing those coordinators is really starting to show up. And I don't disagree. It's just, you lose the turnover battle 6-0, you're probably not going to win against anybody in this league, including Max Brosmer. It's to that point. But the big thing that stands out to me for the Lions, the -6 turnover differential aside, was they don't move anybody in the run game anymore. The O-line has become a real problem. Other than Penei Sewell, the up the middle is as bad as there is in the league right now.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Frank Ragnow tried to come back and couldn't pass his physical. They could have absolutely used him down the stretch. Looking at the Detroit Lions, and it's really interesting. I think 2 teams right now, the Detroit Lions and a team that's in our six-pack, the Houston Texans. What we thought about them preseason is what they became, but it took them a little while to get there. And for the Lions, it was like, okay, you lose both coordinators, your superstar offensive coordinator, you lose an all-pro center, and then you add some injuries on top of that for the Lions, and it could be a season that's maybe disappointing for them. And then they started winning. It started a little weird, but then they started winning a bunch of games like, they're going to be fine, and Dan Campbell's got it, and they figured out the offensive coordinator stuff, and he's calling some plays, and they're good. But then in the end, it was too much, and it was too much. And so what we worried about, it wasn't a guarantee for the Lions that it was going to end this way, but you thought it could go this way for the Lions, and it absolutely did. So long term, I'm not worried about it. We do have some questions, probably maybe even in next week's mailbag. I know some folks were asking us about it this week about the Lions. and what we think about them and their build and how expensive they start to get in a lot of positions that maybe you're trying not to spend a lot of money at, running back, tight end, where they've got some star players. So that'll be interesting the way they get over this hump. But they're kind of where the Eagles were a few years ago when they lost both coordinators and then eventually figured it out. So I wonder what those plans are for the Lions now that it is officially well, they got one game to play, but it's off-season time for the Lions. And Goff did not play well. Like you got to give credit to the Vikings defense for how well they went out and really won this game.
Yeah, Vikings D was really, really good and aggressive, and they always throw a ton at you, and it was working, and the interior line didn't handle it well. We know Goff is not a improv type quarterback, and I thought that showed up time and time again. No running back, no running game to lean on, and a lot of defensive injuries as usual.
Absolutely. Moving on to the Broncos and the Chiefs. And as I just talked about with Brosmer and the Minnesota Vikings, it was the same for the Kansas City Chiefs, who weren't go beat the Denver Broncos, but they kept this thing competitive with Chris Oladokun, who, again, he completed 4 more passes than Brosmer did, 13 of 22. Some of that late in the game because they're trying to go win this thing. But again, 66 passing yards. And you're tied in the fourth quarter against the number 1 seed in the AFC. And so that was fascinating to me that really the defense has had a lot to do with it. The Chiefs were able to run the ball a little bit more successful than the Lions were, or than the Vikings and Lions game. But still, it was a quarterback that you're trying to hide. Yeah. And you're still able to be competitive against a football team that's got a lot to play for still. So that was fascinating to me. And I don't know what to make of really either one of these football teams right now, because in the end, it was the Broncos that won this thing, but it was closer than it should have been, I think.
And I'm not sure that the Broncos D is as elite as we've been giving it credit for of late. Now, I think they're in a really good spot. I mean, let's not forget these are all Thursday games, and Thursday games are weird and all that good stuff. But they're in a good spot because they end up getting the win, even though I didn't think they played their best game. And I wanted to open the show, actually. I mean, I sold a lot of these teams short. I mean, what the Chiefs had to play for, they're going to get steamrolled. Like, everyone on the planet's watching on Christmas. These teams all showed up more than I expected, especially those underdogs that really had nothing on the line. But where I was going with Denver is they get a nice long week now to prepare for the Chargers, who we'll get to here soon in a really crucial game. And Wig and I were talking about Knicks, like when the game's on the line, they unleash them. I mean, sometimes they keep them reeled in a little bit, but you look at his numbers and his touchdowns and his production and his running over his 2 seasons, it's pretty darn good. It's better than I ever would have guessed.
So maybe, versus if we're talking about our priors again, maybe the Denver Broncos defense, maybe not quite as good as we thought they might have been. But maybe their quarterback play and their offense under Sean Payton is better than we gave him credit for. And
I think all that's true. Yeah.
And so
they're not hiding their quarterback as much as I thought they would be,
And in control of potentially getting the 1 seed are the Denver Broncos, talking about that Week 18 game for them. The New England Patriots have a very winnable game against the Jets. Not in our 6-pack, but could be coming down to 2 teams trying to win their 14th game of the season next week for that 1 seed in the AFC. Okay, next it is 6-pack time. I forgot about Commanders Cowboys because it was such an insignificant game as far as the playoffs are concerned earlier on in the day. It was kind of funny after the game when they were doing these on-field interviews and giving them the big Santa coats and stuff. And they were talking about, what's it mean to play on Christmas? And I got the feeling that Dak's like, well, I'd rather just not be playing today. But we had a game, so we had to come out and we beat the Commanders.
Wasn't impressed with either defense, to be honest with you. I mean, both these teams were running all over each other. Dallas is, a better team, but I kind of thought Washington would also cave with their 3rd-string quarterback. But they came to play. I mean, they gave a good effort, and there were some young guys. Newton had 3 sacks, and Bill Merritt, Jakrosky Merritt. I mean, he at least there's some young guys to build on, I guess.
Yeah. Bill Merritt's clearly a good runner and the best runner for the Commanders. And, off-season 2, which really for rookies, it's full off-season 1, coming off of your rookie year. He's got to figure out whatever he needs to figure out offense-wise so they can trust him so he can be that true RB1 going into next year because he's clearly a good runner. That part of it is not in question for Bill Krosky Merritt. Debo making some big plays
in
that game as well. Some vintage Debo Samuel. But I also got the feeling that they weren't – just some shots of the sideline of the Commanders, and they're like, oh, this season stinks, and we got our third-string quarterback. How about that for the schedule makers? It's like, all right, Netflix, how much are you going to pay for a bunch of third-string quarterbacks to come in and play with teams that aren't even in the playoff contention here when you pay for this bundle of games on Christmas?
And they look great if you were just looking at preseason, like Jaden Daniels versus the Cowboys. Everyone loves the Cowboys, and we're going to see Mahomes and all that good stuff. But no, I mean, just these games in general were not real exciting, which I wasn't mad about. I got to spend less time watching them than
it was fun. It was fun to have some games on during Christmas. And
yes.
I had some in-laws, and they're playing the daily fantasy, on the prize picks. I'm like, hey, they're like, what do you think about this quarterback for the Chiefs? It's like, higher or lower? And I'm like, go lower on the passing yards. Go lower. So that was what it was all about for the third-string quarterbacks on Christmas. All right, it is six-pack time. We got some good games here in Week 17, including one game to solidify the number one pick in the 2026 NFL Draft next. Today's episode of the NFL Six Pack is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Sundays, they move fast in the NFL. One big play, suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best. When the game starts to shift, you can feel it. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up. That big turnover really flips momentum. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. So FanDuel lets you jump into that moment. Player props update as guys heat up and cool down. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. Keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your live NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. This episode is also brought to you by Game Time. Love the Game Time app. Anytime I run into somebody who is a sports fan, anytime I run into somebody who is a fan of music and likes to go see live shows and go to concerts and go see theater events or go to comedy shows, you can find all of those tickets and more on the Game Time app, and it gives the advantage back to fans when it comes to Game Time. And how about you pull up the Game Time app and you check an upcoming NFL game, and all of a sudden you're like, oh man, I can afford to go catch this game, so I can get this ticket for $100. Maybe team's out of it. It's a nice time to go jump in and buy some of those tickets for Week 17, for Week 18. But the app is incredibly intuitive, browsing, easy to use. World Cup tickets coming up as well. You got views from your seat, zone deals, and you can get some awesome last-minute tickets. And I've gone to multiple concerts in San Francisco last minute because I got a phenomenal deal on Game Time for those tickets. So use our promo code LOCKEDONNFL. That is LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today and get back to being there live. All right, it's six-pack time. Our six-pack of picks for Week 17 on the NFL schedule, and I love these Saturday games. So let's go to Los Angeles, where the Chargers are hosting the Houston Texans. We've got some big-time seeding to be decided in the AFC with this matchup, and the home Chargers are favored by 1.5 points against the visiting Texans, Matt.
I think I've said this the last couple of weeks, and I'm going to continue to do it, and I'm going to continue to say it. I sell the Chargers short. I mean, the Herbert-Harbaugh combination and what they get out of that defense, and I think Minter could be in the head coaching circles as well this offseason, really keeps them competitive. They got a great record. Every time I doubt them, which is every week, they win. But, man, that O-line against the Texans D-line, I'm going to doubt the Chargers again, and I'm betting on and I'll probably be wrong.
I was waiting for it. I was just saying the same thing. Well, the doubt stays.
Yeah,
that's a matchup that is too much to overcome. As good as Herbert is, as good as the Chargers have played in some of these games, and it could be an ugly one, but it's not a lot of points. and the Texans, I think, are the better team all around. And I think that Texas D-line versus the Chargers O-line is something that you can't overcome. And I think they should be favored. So whatever way you want to bet that one, I'd be all in on this one. It's an easy one for me to go with the Texans and get 1.5 against the Chargers on the road.
Not a tough place to play.
Yeah, I wish going into the playoffs you could see, and it's starting to look a little bit better on offense, but the Stroud and the offense, it's still not quite right for the Houston Texans. No. I would like to see that better. But we talked about the Denver Broncos. Maybe their defense not quite playing at the heights that we had seen. I think the Texans defense is, and they are the best defense going into the playoffs.
I do too. I do too. And that's enough for me in this one.
Yep, absolutely. So we're both taking the Texans there. How about the Baltimore Ravens and the Packers? This is a fascinating football game because we don't know who's going to play quarterback. We might get more third-string quarterbacks in this one. Lamar Jackson listed as doubtful officially for tomorrow's game. And the Ravens at the Packers here, the 7-8 Ravens playing for their lives. You got the Packers at 9-5-1. They don't have to worry about the Lions anymore, but would still rather be better than the 7 seed in the NFC. They're favored by 4.5 at home, but we're not sure who's going to quarterback for the Packers either because both Jordan Love and Malik Willis, after getting slammed pretty hard with a sack last week, Malik Willis and Love are both listed as questionable. So are we going to see Clayton Tune make an appearance for the Green Bay Packers? I have a feeling there's some coy about the Packers where they don't want the Ravens to know who's going to play, but Willis or Love is going to play. I just don't know which one it is.
So you said this line's up to 4.5.
It is 4.5 now that the Packers are favored at home.
Okay, because I saw it at 2 earlier in the week, which really implies to me it's not going to be backup versus backup, or at least Willis is going to play. Mm-hmm. We know Huntley's serviceable, but I am not counting on Lamar at all. In Green Bay, short week, I'm definitely taking the Packers here. And that would, I mean, for selfish reasons, that would end all the AFC North situation. The Steelers have nothing to play for the next day if the Ravens lose this game, just so people know. Packers are fighting for seeding and whatnot. They both have a lot on the line. I just think Green Bay, quarterback aside, is the better team.
I was going to say, so if I told you it's Huntley versus Malik Willis, and the line is 4.5. That's kind of the way I'm playing this one.
Me too. Yeah. I'm like, and if it's Love, I feel even better about it.
Yeah. And I think one of the big things here is you want to look at how good of a run defense does the Packers have, right? And can they stop the Ravens' run game with the backup quarterback? And assuming that they don't take Derrick Henry off the field for an entire quarter,
which they do,
which they have and they have done. I have a feeling they won't in this one because I don't think they want the backlash. But the Packers have EPA per rush defense top 7 in the NFL.
Yeah, that's good.
They are up to the challenge, I think, as well in that regard. So, yep, I like the Packers because I think they might have a big advantage potentially at quarterback and be able to play at least a little bit more of their game with no Lamar Jackson.
I agree.
Let's look at talking about banged up quarterbacks. Josh Allen was in a little bit of a place with his foot, but apparently he said he's going to play, and now it's looking more and more official that Josh Allen is going to play as the Buffalo Bills host the Philadelphia Eagles. And by the way, so those first 2 games Saturday. Now we're on to Sunday here. Buffalo favored by 1.5 points against the Eagles.
So the Eagles quietly have been running the football really, really well again. And I think Lane Johnson is expected back in this one, if not soon. I mean, so maybe they're starting to quietly trend the right direction just as an organization. But I'm counting on Allen being Allen. I'm counting on the Bills running the ball quite well. They're building. I'm taking Buffalo reluctantly, but I think this could really go either way, especially with the spread.
If you're the Bills, you have to be careful. Because Josh Allen did say while he plans to play, it hurts. So he has an injury. Mm-hmm. You don't want that in January, right? So if you're the Bills, you need to get in a place where you're comfortable with potentially sitting Josh Allen one of these last 2 games.
That would be huge for them.
And so you're already in the playoffs. Is it smarter to just sit him right now? Right. So that's kind of where I'm at with the Bill. I would rather be the 7 seed and have a healthy Josh Allen than be the 1 seed and have a broken foot Josh Allen. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. He's the best player in the playoffs. He's the scariest guy in all the playoffs.
And he's the most singularly important player to his team in the playoffs, too.
Yeah.
So don't screw this up, Bills. Make sure that Josh Allen is healthy going into the playoffs. That's the number one goal.
Like maybe Green Bay could win the Super Bowl without Love playing great. The Bills can't without Allen playing great. Yeah, right.
Agreed. Totally agreed. Especially with the defense. And, I would say Cook is pretty close too because of how important their running game has been and how good it's been for Cook, who's already up to 1,500 rushing yards on the season and looking for a rushing title there as well. So they might try that Eagles rush defense. I'm going to take the points here, though.
Yeah, I don't want to bet on this one. I hate picking this game.
Yeah, it is a tough one to pick, but I am going to take the points with the Eagles on the road. I got some road teams here in my six-pack. Next, we got a few more games to pick. We've got the Seattle Seahawks at the Carolina Panthers with big-time playoff implications. The Chicago Bears at the San Francisco 49ers, Sunday Night Football with more seeding. Both those teams are locked into a playoff spot. Just where will they be seated is the question. And the Toilet Bowl, we've got the New York Giants at Las Vegas Raiders for the number one pick in the NFL draft. Next. Today's episode of the NFL Six Packs brought to you by Prize Picks. Holiday season, one of the best times for sports. Had a bunch of Christmas games. You got bowl games. You got big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It feels like every game is super exciting right now that comes across your television screen. And college football playoff was also a lot of fun. So it's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to get in on daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2-player projections and lock in that lineup. And if it's super simple to be in the game, you can make as many of those lineups as you want. And it's simple, fast, and available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. And all you do, it's super easy. If you've never played Prize Picks daily fantasy, you just pick 2 or more projections, and those projections for stats are right there on the app for you. You create a lineup in less than a minute, smooth process, and a whole lot of fun, unique stats, even fantasy scores a category, field goals attempted, free throws made, turnovers, whatever fits your strategy for that game. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Okay, Matt, here we go. Finishing up our six-pack for week 17. We are almost done with the regular season.
Crazy,
one more regular
fantasy
season
Super Bowl
six-pack
week.
to go.
I mean,
it is. Yeah, fantasy Super Bowl week, which I am not participating in, but at least I'm not in the toilet bowl either. Like the New York Giants and the Las Vegas Raiders are. We're going to finish with that one, though. Let's go to Seattle at Carolina. A couple NFC West matchups here, a couple of NFC matchups that are really important. And the Carolina Panthers have a tough task here if they're going to try to go win the South. And they could potentially sew that thing up, and it wouldn't matter about that matchup in week 18 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But they've got a tough opponent here. Seahawks on the road, favored by 7 at the Carolina Panthers.
Ooh.
And for the Seahawks, they've got to win this week just for the right to play against the 49ers next week if the Niners win this week also to win the West. So those teams all in the NFC West have really important matchups, and everyone's got to try to win out to go win that thing. And it looks like the 1 seed's going to come out of the West.
So I saw this at 7.5, but I'm still going to take the Panthers. You would think, road trip, East Coast, 1 o'clock. Oh, that's terrible, but it's right up Seattle's alley. I mean, they're too good at it. I mean, you can't use that. I think Carolina can keep this close, though. I kind of like what their offense has been doing lately. McMillan and Coker and Young's played better. They all pretty much always run the ball well. Defense is acceptable. They've got a lot to play for. I kind of feel like Darnold and the Seahawks offense is gone from an A to a B. It's fine. It's still good. It's playoff caliber, but it's just not as dangerous as it's been.
I'm right there with you. I think as good as the Seahawks are, this is a tough little matchup going into Carolina.
Yeah.
And 7 points, I think, it's just a lot. I do like the Seahawks. I don't know if I would actually put my money on this game, but as far as making picks here for a game where one team is playing for the playoff lives, the other team is already solidified for a playoff spot, I do think the Carolina Panthers have just that little motivational edge here. At home as well against the Seahawks. And look, the Seahawks have been good at it, but still you would rather play at home in the afternoon than going and travel and across the country and playing in the morning. So give me the Carolina Panthers here. I'll take those 7 points with a home dog playing for a playoff spot.
I might keep an eye on, see if it goes back to 7.5.
I do think that, that is pretty a big half. And plus, I think for the Panthers, you're in a pretty cool spot because you're playing for a playoff spot, but you still know that you have that game next week too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're motivated, but you're playing loose because it's not like, oh, we're eliminated if we lose this game.
Right. It's not a playoff game.
Yes. How about and by the way, it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are at the Miami Dolphins and still favored by 6 on the road against the Dolphins are those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So it's looking like it's going to come down to that showdown in week 18 with the Bucs and the Panthers. But if the Bucs lose and the Panthers win, then it won't matter because they've already split. So the Bucs can't even get to that head-to-head tiebreaker at that point. How about the Chicago Bears Sunday Night Football? We got a primetime matchup with the 11-win Bears at the 11-win San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers at home are favored by 3 points in this one. And the Bears they're the 2 seed right now, right? And the 49ers, if they win out, will actually be the 1 seed. So this is an interesting matchup here with the Bears and the 49ers, which I think should be a lot of fun with 2 creative quarterbacks in Caleb Williams and Brock Purdy Sunday night.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a really fun game, as you mentioned. And I could see a lot of points. Man, we've talked about this, and you know it better than anyone. I mean, the way the Niners offense is clicking right now is ridiculously good. I mean, it feels like they'd never punt. I mean, it seems like they get points. It's been a while since they punted, right? Yeah.
They haven't punted since November. So if they win this game and don't punt, they will have not punted for an entire month.
Had a bye in there, though. Right?
They did have a bye. They had a bye. So
it's been 2 games. That's a pretty cool thing to say.
It's been 2 games, one of them against the Titans, but last week was impressive in prime time Monday Night Football against a defense that had been very good, and to not punt against that team, that was fun. So this might be another shootout in prime time like last week, but here's the big advantage for the Bears is the Bears played last Saturday. The Niners played Monday. So the Bears, even though the Bears are on the road, they have a 2-day rest advantage on the Niners.
That's big this time of year. And for me, that's enough to give that team points. I mean, if you're getting a full 3, I saw it at 2.5 earlier in the week, but if I can get 3, I'm pretty happy about taking the Bears, who might be the better team. They could play a high scoring game as well. That's a good number for me.
I'm going to take the Niners and give up the 3 points. If it got bigger than 3, I might start to go the other way because of that rest advantage.
Kittle concerns?
Kittle right now I bet he plays, but he has not practiced yet. And the official word is it's an ankle sprain. It's not a high ankle sprain, though. So it's the good kind of ankle sprain, at least for George Kittle. And it's tough because it's short week, so definitely puts his status in doubt. But Ricky Pearsall is practicing, so they might not have Kittle and have Pearsall instead as a pass catching option for Brock Purdy. Here's the thing, though, with both of these defenses is their pass rush. The Bears couldn't pressure anybody last week against the Packers in that win. Finally, Sweat got home with the 1 sack that did injure Malik Willis. But the 49ers have been the team with the fewest sacks in the entire NFL this year. And so I think that's why it points to a shootout for me. One thing the Niners defense is the weakest part of their team right now, and they've been banged up. I like the 49ers special teams as an advantage here. One thing that the Bears do have defensively as an advantage is they've been really opportunistic and been able to take the ball away. And so I could see you could easily paint that story where the Bears come in more well-rested and Brock tries to force a couple of things and then throws a couple of interceptions. And that would be the path for the Bears, I think, more than anything else. But I think the ball's going to fly around a little bit in this one.
I do too. I'm excited to watch Caleb in this action too.
All right, so you got Bears there. I'm going to go Niners, and then we've got the toilet bowl of the season, it turns out, which is the New York Giants at 2 wins at the Las Vegas 2-win Raiders. and the Raiders are getting 1.5 points. So the Giants are favored by 1.5 points, and very, very likely the team that loses this game gets the number 1 pick in the 2026 NFL draft.
I can't bet on the Raiders. I mean, we didn't do a show obviously on Christmas, but they've shut down Bowers. They really are sending the message that they are done, and I don't want to say totally tanking, but let's try to get that first overall pick. Wouldn't make us too sad.
It feels like a soft tank right now.
Yeah, maybe even harder than that. But not that I love the Giants or anything they've done lately, but I do think they're better, and I think at least you're going to play their guys.
Giants 0-8 on the road. The Raiders have only won 1 game at home. They're 1-6 at home. Obviously, there's not a lot of wins when there's 4 combined between the 2 teams.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't see where the huge advantage is here for either team, except for I think the New York Giants have it ever so slightly.
I still think their D line's better than the Raiders O line.
Yeah, just what's the functionality of the Raiders? And we saw a nice game from Ashton Genty last week. No Bowers. Can the Giants stop Genty a little bit? And then it's ball game, So, 1.5 points, not enough to scare me off about the New York Giants. And who knows, there are probably a whole bunch of Giants fans in Las Vegas. And I don't know how many Raiders fans are super excited about these football games these days as a home field advantage. So I'm with you, man. I'm going to go New York Giants here. And I do think the Raiders will lock up that number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Mendoza. It's going to be a lot of Mendoza to the Raiders conversations, I think, in the months to ensue after this game now.
What'll be interesting if the Giants lose, is it Mendoza to the Giants conversations?
Yeah. Or does this game cost the Raiders multiple picks because now they got to trade up with the Giants to get Mendoza still?
The Giants could win both ways. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Lose this game and get a free first-round pick for it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for making us your first listen on the Locked On Podcast Network. Check out the Everydayers Club, NFL6pack.supercast.com, or find the link in the show notes. And Matt and I will be back Monday breaking down everything we saw from NFL Sunday and Saturday right here on the NFL 6-Pack.